Farmers are facing a lot right now. High input costs, tight margins, uncertain markets, and some of the biggest decisions affecting agriculture are still being debated in Washington, D.C. Today on Kernels, we look at where progress is being made, where more work is needed, and what it'll take to keep these priorities moving forward with someone close to the center of it all in Washington, D.C., Congressman Mike Carey. Welcome to Kernels. I'm Tad Nicholson. We spend a lot of time talking about issues farmers need fixed, but talking about them is only part of the work. Real progress happens when farmers stay engaged and when leaders in Washington, D.C. are willing to listen, act, and keep pushing. Today, we're joined by Congressman Mike Carey. He understands the importance of Ohio agriculture. Ohio Corn and Wheat has been proud to work with him on priorities that matter to the grain farmers across Ohio, including year-round E15, Farm Bill, and strong markets. Congressman Carey, welcome to Kernels.
Great to be with you.
Hey, let's start with year-round E15. This has been a big priority, as you know, for Ohio Corn and Wheat. We met with your staff. It's been our highest priority for quite a while. Farmers across the country are needing this. The House has done its part. Now it's waiting in the Senate. Do you think it gets done? And if it does, what should farmers expect it to look like?
I really do hope that it does get done. I think the version that passed the House was something, and we worked in a bipartisan way to get that done. But like so many pieces of legislation, we've seen it eventually goes to the Senate, and then it's being held up for whatever reason. My hope is that you will see something here before the end of the year. Now, we've got a very short window. I think just recently, as of yesterday, the speaker had mentioned that there was the possibility of a reconciliation package yet again in order to get the president on his SAVE Act. So what that would be is very similar to what was passed in the reconciliation package, which had a lot of the jobs and family tax cut provisions. But I think what you're going to see going into right before the election is trying to get something through, and that would be a very narrow reconciliation package. Now, could we find a path forward with the Farm Bill or pieces and parts thereof as part of that reconciliation package? I'm not sure. But if the Senate would just pick it up, then I think we could be in a good place.
So in the House, it passed as a standalone bill.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often, especially one that. And so I mean, as long as
and for your folks that are listening in, this just goes to all the work that you guys have been doing. When members go to Washington, it is very important that they listen to the folks back home. And I think you all have done such a good job. And I'm talking about all the constituencies that were related to the Farm Bill. I mean, I think you're going to find you couldn't find a better effort going forward. Now, what we have in the Senate is a little bit different, obviously. But I think, again, your members staying involved, staying focused. This is a great time of year. You're going to have a lot of Senate candidates, and I don't care whether, they're running for office or whether they're in office. But a lot of county fairs going on. I know I'm going to be at a few of them here. We've already been to one, but you're seeing that we've got 88 counties in the state. There's plenty of opportunities to go meet with both of our senators while they're, But these are the grassroots types of things that I think needs to get done and really pushing the Senate to act on what we did in the House.
Let's talk about the Farm Bill, if you don't mind. And while the debate keeps on going in Washington, D.C. Farmers are still working under an outdated framework. The economy is very different than it was just a few years ago, and especially the last time we negotiated a Farm Bill. And the longer it drags out, the more skepticism grows in that Congress will get anything done. So where are we really, and what should farmers be watching for as this process moves forward?
Well, I mean, first off, the Farm Bill, I've got the date here. I think we passed it out of the House on April 30th. Of this year. That's well before summer. And so and everybody knows, we haven't passed one since 2018. So, but I think this is kind of that time of year. We had a lot of pieces of legislation, a lot of things that were going on that I know that had a lot of priorities from a lot of people. But I think when you have a piece of legislation that's been able to pass out of the House in a bipartisan way, all the way back in April, and then it goes to the Senate and it sits. And I'm not trying to, you guys, having your guys' help with our Senate colleagues will probably be as beneficial as some of us House members, but there's no reason they can't get that done. Now, if we try to do a reconciliation package now, and then we try to go into the election year, then the election, and then what happens from that November date to that December date? I think that clearly is a time frame that I would, there's no reason they can't get that done before the end of the year.
Yeah, well, we're going to stay hopeful. We're paid to be optimistic here. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I hear you.
The one thing I'm sure you've heard about from any farmer that comes into your office is input costs, and they continue to hit farmers very hard. The pause, we had a temporary pause in the phosphate duties because of an executive order on Moroccan phosphates. That's a really positive thing. It's not a long-term fix, but it is a fix for the short term. Farmers understand fair trade, but they also feel like they're the ones caught in the middle. Is this something Congress needs to take a closer look at?
I don't think there's any doubt that we, the input costs on everything, and we're talking phosphates, but you can look at any aspect of agriculture, right now. And that's in every facet of every part of the economy too, and so I do believe that there's a role for Congress. And I think you saw that with the Ways and Means Committee going down to Mexico, beginning in the trilateral negotiations with Canada, Mexico, and the United States. What could we do within the framework of the Ways and Means Committee? Because a lot of what we focus on in the Ways and Means Committee, and we're not the Agriculture Committee, but we are in fact the committee that does the taxes. We do the trade. We do the work in the energy space. So a lot of these things do have a jurisdiction within our committee. So yeah, I do think there's a role. But having working with the administration, with them in terms of trying to get letters of support for them, trying to work with them in the context of what the administration can do that the legislative body can't. But there definitely has to be a role for us in that authority. I mean, and so again, I think my hope is that I think the first things first. I think first we got to get this agricultural bill done. There's no reason. I mean, because this, to me, they hold that over our heads like the sword of Damocles. And I want to get that done. Let's get that over with. But it doesn't mean that we can't be working simultaneously to look at those input costs. And again, with what we saw within the straits, we saw the shipping. We're seeing, diesel prices go down. We've seen oil at the oil prices go down. We've also seen gasoline prices go down, but that affects everybody. So there are a lot of factors that are involved. But yeah, I think there's a role for Congress, and if nothing more than oversight, I think that's a very important aspect of what we can do, and we can hold the agencies, we can hold the administration accountable. But again, I think we worked with them well. I think you've seen some very positive steps from the administration on certain things. So they understand the input costs probably because they hear from, at least 250 of us on a daily basis about the input costs for our agriculture community.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're thinking that way. We certainly would agree. It's one of those things where, if it made sense why prices were going up, we wouldn't have anything to complain about, but it just does not make sense. And that's why a bunch of farmers asking questions of multi-billion-dollar corporations, they don't really have to answer us, but they do have to answer you.
One nice thing that is, one role, I know that I know that my dad would probably be, if he were still alive, I know that he would immediately come in and he'd be on the phone with me. But the one thing that I will tell you is that when you look in the agriculture space, and you look at my district, for example, yes, we have downtown Columbus, Ohio, but it's a district that goes all the way out to Shelby County currently, and Miami County, and Clark County, and Fayette County, and now we're picking up Pickaway County, Madison County. So where you have a large population base, you have a big agriculture footprint. And as you know, you've been with me. We've toured some of the agricultural facilities. As it relates to obviously family farmers, but also the people, the products that are going into obviously E15 as we talk about that. So again, my hope is that the Senate will work to move the bill that we have passed in a bipartisan way, get that done, continue that oversight, continue the work as we begin the trade negotiations, the trilateral probably with Canada and Mexico, and figure out where we're going to be with that. All things that can happen, and I do think they can get done this year.
Glad you're thinking about USMCA coming up. That's a very important trade agreement, the most important customers that we have. So, Congressman, appreciate you taking the time today. And
absolutely.
Before we wrap up, though, I want to get your thoughts. First of all, thank you for everything that you do for Ohio farmers and for the work of Ohio Corn and Wheat. Your team is fantastic for us to work with. Let me just ask you this closing thought. What is it that you feel in the rest of the year, what gives you confidence and what concerns you most?
Well, I think there are obviously a lot of concerns. And I think you can, you can look both from a legislative and the calendar time-wise, but then you have to look at the political. And every election year, it seems like you start running out of runway in terms of legislative days in order to accomplish what you need to get done. So, we're only 7 months into the year, but it seems like the election and November is just right around the corner. Now, I think for a lot of people, and I think a lot of your listeners will not think that way come probably August, September, when the airwaves will be flooded with advertisements. But I think what you have to look at is the time frame. So you're going to look at us we will be back. We're in our in-district work period right now. We're sitting in the conference room of our district office, but we've got to go back on Monday. And we'll start the process of possibly reconciliation, as I mentioned. Then we're going to go into, you will have the August in-district work period, which will go for 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Now, if we can't get done what we need to get done in this short period of time in July, I could see us going into August because we're going to need to have those legislative days. I think that's benefit those of us in the agriculture space because the more time we are focused, that gives us more time to move pieces of legislation. But my concern, of course, is the runway of time on the legislative calendar. And then depending upon what happens on election day, you'll have 2 more months of the current situation that we have in the Senate and the House. And even if it doesn't change, it's still the members. And I think you're going to have a lot of people, and I've seen this and you have as well over the course of your time, where I do think attendance will be an issue. And so what happens towards the end of the year and what kind of year-end package are we going to try to put forward? So that to me it's the runway of legislative days, which are my biggest concern.
Well, I appreciate you helping us work through a very complicated process there.
Absolutely.
We're lucky. Ohio farmers are lucky to have you there working for us. Thanks a lot for joining us.
I appreciate you.
Coming up, a new experience is helping fairgoers see farming in a whole new way.
Huddle up. This summer, don't overpay at the pump. Choose Unleaded 88, helping drivers save big with every fill-up. I'm Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye, NFL linebacker, and business owner, and dad who's always on the go. That's why I always choose Unleaded 88 for my vehicles. It's safe to use, and the best part, it's less expensive, which means more money for summertime fun. Before you hit the road this summer, save with Unleaded 88. More miles, more savings. Now that's a winning combination.
Farming isn't just a job. It's the foundation of life. Farmers feed us, fuel our future, and pass down traditions built on hope and hard work. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we know farming is more than a profession. It's a legacy. That's why we stand shoulder to shoulder with farmers, offering agricultural loans, insurance, and education. Because we're not just here for farmers, we're owned by them. Farming matters, and we're proud to honor it every day.
Bringing what happens on the farm to life. That's the mission of Imagine Ag. It's a new exhibit opening this year at the Ohio State Fair. It gives fairgoers a hands-on look at the technology, science, equipment, people, and the decisions that are made on your farms every day. Today we're joined by Marlene Ike with the Ohio Farm Bureau to talk about how Imagine Ag came together, what visitors will experience, and why this new exhibit is something that Ohio farmers should experience for themselves and share with others. Marlene, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us. It's always a pleasure.
So Marlene, this project, though, has been years in the making and one that Ohio Corn check off and also small grains check off. We've supported and invested in. But before we get to what fairgoers will experience. Take us back a little bit. How did this exhibit come together?
Sure. Well, I think many of the listeners will probably, anybody who's really familiar with the State Fair and the Expo grounds and has spent time in the State Fair, you'd remember the old Ag and Hort building. Well, I hope this isn't a spoiler. That building is no longer there. There's some amazing, amazing renovations going on at the Ohio Expo Center and State Fairgrounds. And as part of that big plan, some buildings were removed and some new buildings were planned. And as part of that whole process, we were offered this massive footprint in what's now been named the Ohio Ag Center, and to have this massive footprint to tell the story of Ohio Ag. So to do that, Farm Bureau convened all of our friends in Ohio Ag, all the commodity groups, a wide circle of industry partners, and we really started brainstorming what could we do with this huge space. And it's a 75,000 square foot, like that's the footprint that we have in the new Ohio Ag Center to have this really a large space and exhibit. So we brainstormed together, like how could we make this come together and really tell the story of all of our industry. So this whole last year it's been brainstorming sessions. It's been dreaming up what we would want this to look like. And then it was, how can we find a vendor that will help us bring a vision to life? It's been thinking about message points. It's been finding the right creative things from all of our groups and just really collaboratively bringing together what has now been named and what we're calling Imagine Ag, as you alluded to, and a really, really exciting exhibit at the State Fair. So I'm proud to be one small part of it, but really there's been a small army of people in Ohio Ag working on this. And I think we're all really excited for fairgoers to experience it this year at the fair.
So in case some of our viewers, which I'm sure many of them have been to the State Fair, they probably saw the old display at the Ag and Hort building. How much larger is this new space? Are we talking twice as big, 3 times as big? What do we?
The old Ag and Hort building, I'm told, was 40,000 square feet. And the exhibition hall in the new Ohio Ag Center is 100,000 square feet. This Imagine Ag exhibit takes up 75,000 of that. So we're talking about if you're used to the old building and Farm Bureau's exhibit there and the Land and Living exhibit, which is a great exhibit, this is roughly double the size of that building and that old space. So it's really was like a clean slate and a chance for us to go, if we've got this brand new space and a huge space, what could we do with it in a way that lets us tell the story and do things in a different way? So it is massive. And just last week, I saw some components of our exhibit. And, I've been working with dimensions and I know how big these things are, but then you see them in person for the first time. And it really kind of still blows you away with just the scale of things and what we're doing. So I'm really, really pumped to see it all come together.
Well, so, okay, go ahead and take us inside this display without giving anything away. When we go through this display, what are we going to experience? What are fairgoers going to experience? Hopefully, and hopefully better understand really about Ohio agriculture.
Fairgoers, they're going to discover the people, the technology, the innovation behind the food, the fuel, the fiber that we rely on every day, right? That's the big picture. I want them to leave that exhibit with an appreciation for the science and the practices that farmers use every day. I hope that teens leave there and see themselves, in a future career option. And we're going to deliver all of that through what I like to call education wrapped in entertainment, right? We want people to come in and have fun. One of our goals with this exhibit is that this becomes an iconic destination for your family every year at the fair, right? You bring your family to the Ohio State Fair and you're going to see the butter cow every year, as you should, right? You're going to go to OD&R Park and maybe go fishing or found your county bench. And like there's these key things you're always going to do. We hope that Imagine Ag is one of those iconic things. And so to do that, we've got to have it be very family friendly, very fairgoer forward, and just flat out, it's got to be fun. And so we want to develop some really fun things, some interactive, immersive things. So to do that, in a huge space, we've got 7 key anchors that really kind of anchor the space in there. And so there's things you'll come in and you'll experience a really fun anchor called Crop Invaders, right? Where you're going to see drone technology. It's a way for us to showcase some of that precision technology in agriculture. But there's an actual drone game where you actually get to fly drones and kind of go through that and through a game, understand some of the principles about precision technology, innovation, what farmers are doing. and how farmers address some challenges that they have. Likewise, another one that your corn and wheat grower members and investors are going to want to know is Harvest Hero, right? So you sit down and you can kind of see what it would be like, all the things that encompass what would it be like if I'm harvesting. And so through that, they're going to learn about the cycle of commodity crops here in Ohio. And there's just these different experiences. Creature Comforts tells us about animal care. Storied Seasons takes you through the 4 seasons of the year. The Weather Wonder Lab talks about sustainability and the changing weather that we have in Ohio, and also the unpredictable weather that we have in Ohio. And through that lens, how are farmers making choices about the care they give animals, what they do with their crops, the way they care for water and soil, because weather is unpredictable. So we've got these fun games and interactive experiences and things built in so that people are having fun. And through it, they're internalizing some of the things that we know is true about agriculture every day, but the average fairgoer may not know about us. And so we hope they leave with some of those key messages and also had a really great time with their family and want to come back every year.
Well, there's never a time during the year where there's this many people in agriculture
That's right.
and non-agriculture that are in one place at one time. So no better time to educate those who've probably never been onto a farm before about what we're doing out there. So what part of this do you think is going to really surprise people?
I think that some fairgoers might be surprised at the level of technology that farmers use every day. I mean, in agriculture, we're very accustomed to precision technology, using GPS, studying things at the genetic level, researching that next innovation. Like, we're very accustomed to that and know that's part of the daily things that we do. But I think that there would be some fairgoers who are going to be surprised by that and not know that that level of technology is being used, not just at maybe research at a university or in a lab, but that's being used every day out on our farms in Ohio by families just like theirs to produce that food, that fuel, that fiber. And so I think it could be really fun. I am so looking forward to the first day of the fair when those first fairgoers come and experience this exhibit and see their reactions and see what surprises them, see what excites them, see what aha moments they have. And really, it's going to be the culmination of this year-long project that we've all been working on and all invested in, and really kind of see it come to fruition. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I think we may be surprised at what really interests them the most because we take
Yes.
things for granted. We do it every day, and so what we think is
Right.
interesting, they may have a whole completely different idea. So, Marlene, thanks a lot for all the work that you have done to help bring this new exhibit to life. We can't wait to get to the State Fair and experience Imagine Ag at this upcoming Ohio State Fair, and it's just in a few days.
Thanks so much.
Every business makes its own path, and every future comes with tough decisions. Whether you're planning for tomorrow, protecting the people you love, or building something meant to last, you deserve advisors who understand your world. At Element, we know your business is personal. We take the time to listen, to learn what matters most, and to protect what you've worked so hard to build. Let's take the next step together. Visit elementrisk.com today to get started.
We've all got one. Tucked behind the desk, above the tool bench, hanging in the hallway. It doesn't matter if you farm 40 acres or 4,000. It's yours. It's where you raised your kids, fixed what broke, and prayed for rain. But every acre tells a story, and we know that patch of land is more than just a photo on the wall. It's your life's work. It's your homegrown legacy.
Thank you for watching Kernels. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please subscribe to this YouTube channel to stay connected with great content and conversations from Ohio Corn and Wheat. You can also follow us on Facebook and our other social media platforms.